Chapter 1: The Descent of the Sun. Welcome. Welcome to Boring History for Sleep. Tonight, we gently turn our attention to the ancient world, to a place where history whispers through reeds and the scent of jasmine drifts on a warm breeze. We journey to Egypt, to the city of Alexandria, and settle into the quiet, fading light of a long-ago evening, which had seemed almost bleached under the midday glare, now absorb the deepening colors of the sky. They transform into shades of apricot, rose, and a soft, muted gold, reflecting the profound beauty of the Egyptian sunset. It is replaced by a different set of aromas, carried on the gentlest of breezes from the Nile. Polished floors would offer a vantage point over the city and the vast expanse of the Mediterranean Sea. The sea itself, which had gleamed an almost blinding sapphire blue under the midday sun, now deepens into shades of indigo and violet, reflecting the purpling sky. This is a time when the world prepares for rest, when the demands of the day recede, and a sense of calm begins to settle over everything. The gentle lapping of its waves against the harbor walls would become a more distinct, soothing sound. Mingled with it might be the earthy smell of damp river mud, the faint, exotic scent of frankincense from a nearby temple, or the sweet, fermented aroma of grapes from a distant vineyard. These are the olfactory signatures of an Alexandrian evening. The very air seems to shimmer with these fading light particles, creating an ethereal glow over the city. We are not here for grand pronouncements or dramatic events, but simply to observe the quiet, often overlooked, details of life in a bygone era. It whispers through the open windows and colonnades of the palace, stirring the hanging tapestries and rustling the leaves of potted plants. The rhythm of the city, once a frantic beat, now slows to a steady, languid pulse, preparing for the deep tranquility of the coming hours. But as a person experiencing the tranquil close of a day by the timeless waters of the Nile, as the sun begins its slow descent over the western horizon, casting long, golden shadows across the bustling city of Alexandria, a quiet transformation begins. The sharp, incessant cries of street vendors, the clatter of chariots on cobblestone streets, the distant hammering from workshops, these insistent noises slowly begin to subside. They do not vanish entirely, but rather soften, becoming less urgent, less demanding of attention. Instead, a new chorus of sounds begins to emerge, subtle at first, then gradually becoming more pronounced as darkness deepens. This change is gradual, almost imperceptible at first, like the slow, deliberate turning of a colossal, unseen wheel. The harsh, bright light that has illuminated every corner of the city throughout the day softens, taking on a warmer, richer hue. The sounds of the day to begin their quiet transformation. The scent of the day, a mix of dust, spices, and the sweat of laborers, starts to mellow. From the royal palace, perched grandly near the harbor, Cleopatra would observe this daily transition. The last rays of sunlight stretch across the grand courtyards of the palace, illuminating the polished stone and glinting off the intricate gold decorations. Or the first tentative chirps of night insects add to the quiet symphony. Chapter 2: Preparation for Repose. As the light continues to dim, the palace staff begins their evening preparations. These are not hurried movements, but practiced, efficient motions, carried out with a quiet deference. Attendants, specifically chosen for their quiet demeanor and gentle touch, would anticipate her every need. They might prepare a warm bath, infused with fragrant oils and herbs gathered from the fertile banks of the Nile or imported from distant lands. They are replaced by softer, looser fabrics designed for comfort and ease of movement in the evening hours. These mingled scents create a cocoon of personal luxury, signaling the transition from the public demands of queenship to the private moments of a woman seeking rest. A simple, flowing tunic of the finest Egyptian cotton, perhaps, or a sheer silk gown, allowing the skin to breathe, would be chosen. The sounds that now dominate are closer, more intimate. The soft rustle of silk as an attendant moves, the gentle splash of water in a basin, the faint, almost imperceptible hum of a well-oiled oil lamp. These are the quiet sounds of preparation, of a world settling into its nocturnal rhythm. These clothes are not for display, but for personal solace, emphasizing softness and comfort above all else. The feeling of scented oils on the skin, soothing and luxurious. The soft touch of linen against the skin. These are sensory experiences designed to bring comfort and a profound sense of well-being, preparing the body for the deep rest of sleep. But from multiple smaller lamps, strategically placed to create pockets of warm, inviting glow. The deep blues, then purples, then the inky blackness that slowly reveals the first timid stars. This celestial transformation mirrors the inward shift within the palace from activity to rest. Shadows are long and gentle, lending a sense of intimacy and peace to the space. The harsh lines of day are softened, allowing the mind to relax its vigilant guard. The scent of lotus, myrrh, or delicate rose petals would rise with the steam, creating an atmosphere of luxurious tranquility. The water, warm and soothing, would wash away the dust and fatigue of the day, a ritual of purification and relaxation. Their footsteps are soft, their gestures fluid, their presence unobtrusive. They understand the art of creating an atmosphere of calm and ease. Slaves and servants move through the grand corridors, their soft sandals barely whispering against the mosaic floors. The rhythmic strokes, a soft, hushed sound, would be deeply calming, untangling not just her dark tresses, but perhaps also the small worries that accumulate throughout a busy day of governance and diplomacy. They might apply subtle unguents to her skin, fragrant and moisturizing, ensuring her comfort in the dry Egyptian air. Torches are lit in strategic locations, their flickering flames casting dancing shadows on the high walls. Oil lamps, meticulously cleaned and refilled, are placed in alcoves and on low tables, their soft glow beginning to push back against the encroaching darkness. In Cleopatra's private chambers, the process is even more refined. While the bath is being drawn, other attendants might attend to her hair, brushing it slowly and gently with combs carved from ivory or polished wood. The garments of the day, perhaps made of fine linen, light and breathable in the heat, are carefully removed. The air in the chambers, once simply warm, now holds the subtle, delightful fragrances of bath oils, perfumes, and freshly laundered linen. Outside the palace walls, the city's noises continue to recede, becoming a distant murmur. The light within the chambers is soft, diffused. It comes not from harsh, direct sources as the sun dips below the horizon. The last vestiges of daylight clinging to the very edge of the sky, the true colors of night begin to emerge. The gentle movements of the attendants are themselves a kind of silent ballet, a choreography of care and service. The sensation of cool water, then warm as it envelops the body in the bath. Chapter 3. An Evening by the Nile's Edge. With the initial preparations complete, Cleopatra might seek the tranquil embrace of the Nile, not a grand, formal procession, but a quiet, informal visit to a private pavilion or a secluded terrace overlooking the river. The palace grounds would extend gracefully down to the water's edge, allowing for such moments of personal retreat. The rhythmic, gentle lapping of small waves against the riverbank. The faint, distant creak of a felucca's mast as it sails slowly, almost silently, downriver, its sails catching the last fading light. They might offer a cool drink, perhaps sweetened fruit juice, or a light snack of fresh dates or figs. These simple refreshments would complement the tranquility of the setting, providing nourishment without disrupting the peaceful atmosphere. A soft, distant glow, a testament to human activity, but now a muted backdrop to the profound natural peace of the river. The contrast highlights the quiet escape offered by the Nile's edge. The gentle breeze that rustles the papyrus on the riverbanks carries with it the echoes of countless evenings, countless lives lived by these same waters. It is a place where one feels connected to something vast and eternal. The occasional splash of a fish jumping, or the soft call of a waterfowl settling into its nightly roost amongst the reeds. The same river that nourished her ancestors, that bore the boats of pharaohs, now flows before her, a silent witness to countless generations. These are the untroubled sounds of a river at rest. These fleeting sounds serve only to underscore the depth of the surrounding tranquility. The air by the river is different, cooler, damper, carrying the unmistakable scent of fresh water and fertile silt. It is a cleansing sensation, inviting the body to relax and the mind to unwind, preparing for the deeper quietude of sleep. It is a powerful, ancient aroma, the very breath of Egypt, signifying life, growth, and the eternal flow of time. This scent would be deeply familiar, comforting in its constancy. The sounds of the Nile at dusk are profound and soothing. From the pavilion, she might gaze out at the vast, dark expanse of the Nile. Its surface, once glinting with the day's sunlight, now reflects the deepening sky, a mirror of shifting twilight colors. The distant bank would be a blurred silhouette, the ancient landscape fading into obscurity. It is not measured by the tick of a clock, but by the slow, deliberate movement of the stars emerging in the darkening sky, by the imperceptible flow of the river, by the quiet shift in the air's temperature. It is a timeless space where the concerns of the day truly recede, allowing the mind to wander freely, to settle into a state of quiet contemplation. The feeling of the cool, polished stone beneath her bare feet, or the soft cushions of a reclining couch, would add to the sense of comfort. Attendants would be nearby, but always at a respectful distance, their presence known but not intrusive. The passage of time by the Nile feels different. The city of Alexandria, behind her, would begin to twinkle with the faint, scattered lights of oil lamps and fires from homes and shops. The scent of the water, rich with the history of millennia, would bring a sense of continuity. The very air holds a sense of ancient wisdom, of timelessness. The feeling of the cool night air on her skin, a refreshing contrast to the residual heat of the day. Chapter 4. The Palace at Night. As the night fully embraces the land, Cleopatra would slowly retreat from the river's edge, returning to the inner sanctums of the palace. The grandeur of the royal residence, impressive during the day, takes on a different character under the soft glow of evening lamps. Their movements are minimal, their presence almost imperceptible, ensuring the queen's undisturbed rest. The soft padding of their footsteps on distant floors would be barely audible, a faint rhythmic sound against the prevailing quiet. Corridors that seemed vast now feel more enclosed, more intimate, illuminated by the warm, flickering light that dances on the polished stone walls. The silence within the palace deepens. Most of the daytime staff would have retired to their quarters, leaving only a skeletal crew of night guards and essential personal attendants. It is a carefully curated atmosphere of peace and comfort, designed to facilitate a deep and undisturbed sleep. Her personal chambers would be prepared for sleep, or perhaps simply allowing her thoughts to drift, to wander through the quiet spaces of memory and anticipation, before finally surrendering to the call of slumber. The occasional creak of timbers as the palace settles, the soft, distant murmur of the sea from the harbor, the almost imperceptible whisper of the wind through open windows or high archways. These are the quiet, rhythmic breaths of the palace itself, a soothing presence in the deep of night. Only the soft, diffused glow of a single oil lamp, perhaps turned very low, or the distant, gentle illumination from a nearby alcove would break the darkness. This ensures a truly restful environment, allowing the eyes to adjust to the dimness and the mind to slow its active processes. The warmth of the covering settling over her, providing a gentle cocoon of comfort and security. Only the very lowest hum of Alexandrian life might reach her, a faint, reassuring background presence against the profound quiet of her private world. This is the final physical preparation for the profound rest to come. The bed, likely a large, comfortable structure, perhaps made of ebony or cedar, would be draped with fine linen sheets and soft, luxurious coverings. The flavors would be subtle, not stimulating, designed to calm the stomach and prepare the body for rest. The quiet clink of a pottery cup against a smooth wooden tray would be the only sound accompanying this simple repast. The textiles might be imported from distant lands, reflecting the vast reach of Egyptian trade, or spun from the finest local cotton known for its exceptional softness. The scent of clean linen, faintly perfumed with dried herbs, would permeate the air around the bed. A final light meal might be offered, a small dish of fresh fruit or delicate pastries, perhaps with a cup of soothing herbal tea. No harsh light would penetrate the sleeping area. The air in the bedchamber would be still, settled, carrying the lingering perfumes of the evening, jasmine, lotus, and the subtle warmth of the oil lamp. The sounds that remain are the natural sounds of a large, old building at night. Cleopatra would likely spend a few moments in quiet reflection, perhaps reviewing the day's events in her mind, not with anxiety, but with a detached consideration. The sensation of slipping into the cool, smooth linen sheets, the soft give of the mattress beneath her body, the distant sounds of the city, now truly muted, would be almost swallowed by the vastness of the palace. The rhythmic, soft glow of the oil lamp, barely illuminating the intricate patterns on the walls, creates a mesmerizing, gentle light show, lulling the eyes and mind into a state of drowsiness. Chapter 5: The Unseen Lives of the Palace While Cleopatra Rests. The palace itself never truly sleeps, though its activity shifts to a slower, almost silent rhythm. A select few individuals remain awake, their presence essential for the smooth functioning and security of the royal household. Guards patrol the outer perimeters, their heavy sandals making soft, rhythmic thuds on the stone pathways, their eyes scanning the moonlit grounds for any sign of disturbance. Their vigilance is a constant, unseen layer of protection around the sleeping inhabitants. Inside, in the vast kitchens, a small number of staff might be tending to slow cooking dishes for the following day's meals, or meticulously cleaning the myriad cooking implements. The clinking of pottery, the soft scrape of a brush, the low murmur of voices, the subtle warmth of residual heat from the ovens. These are the quiet sounds of domestic preparation, continuing even in the dead of night, ensuring the seamless flow of palace life. It mingles with the specific smells of each activity, the earthy scent of cooking, the metallic temps of ink, the dry, almost sweet smell of papyrus. The faint scent of ink and aged paper would hang in the air. These sounds are subtle, yet reassuring, indicating vigilance. Each sound is distinct, a momentary ripple in the vast stillness. These are quiet tableaux of nightly industry. It speaks of focused work, of the slow, painstaking process of documenting knowledge and maintaining order. The rustle of papyrus as a scroll is unrolled, the soft thump as a volume is returned to its shelf, the quiet cough of a man engrossed in ancient texts. The very air in the libraries would be dry, smelling faintly of old knowledge, of wisdom meticulously preserved. These tactile experiences are part of the hidden nocturnal life of the palace. It is a tangible sense of the past. The city, too, rests, save for its essential functions. They might be transcribing decrees, cataloging goods, or documenting the day's official correspondence. Their diligent, focused labor continues, a testament to the administrative machinery that supports the kingdom, even as the world around them slumbers. Scribes, perhaps, might still be at work in a dimly lit chamber, their quills scratching softly against papyrus scrolls. The vast libraries of Alexandria, famed throughout the ancient world, might also have a few dedicated scholars burning the midnight oil. These unseen lives, these quiet, dedicated individuals, are the gears of the vast palace machine. Their rhythms are different from the queen's, yet they are all interconnected, ensuring the continuity and security of the kingdom, even through the quiet hours of night. Their presence, though mostly unheard and unseen, is a crucial part of the palace's evening existence. The cool night air filters through the palace, carrying the scent of damp stone and the faint, distant aroma of the Nile. The sounds of the night watch, the distant, measured footsteps of a guard, the soft clang of a spear resting against a wall, the occasional low murmur of a challenge and reply, the rhythmic scratching of a quill on papyrus, a consistent, almost hypnotic sound. The deep silence of the palace is occasionally punctuated by these small, purposeful sounds, which only serve to emphasize the quiet that surrounds them. The visual impression of dimly lit spaces, a guard standing silhouette against a moonlit archway, a scribe's bent head illuminated by a single lamp, a scholar's hand tracing lines on an ancient scroll. The feeling of cool, smooth stone underfoot for those moving through the palace, or the rough texture of a writing surface. The subtle shift in the shadows as a lamp flickers, making the intricate carvings on a column or a fresco on a wall seem to subtly move, adding a touch of quiet mystery to the sleeping palace. The deep, continuous silence of the surrounding city, broken only by the very faint, distant sounds of the harbor, the creak of ships, the gentle splash of water. The air inside the great halls and chambers feels heavy with history, with the echoes of countless days and nights, countless lives lived within these very walls. Chapter 6. The river's embrace beyond the immediate vicinity of Alexandria. The Nile continues its timeless journey, flowing northward towards the sea. In the deep of night, away from the city's fading glow, the river truly comes into its own. Its surface, a vast, dark mirror, reflects the countless stars that now pepper the inky blackness of the Egyptian sky. The Milky Way, a shimmering band of cosmic dust and light, would stretch across the heavens, a breathtaking spectacle unobstructed by artificial illumination. This is the pure, unadulterated aroma of the Nile, a scent deeply embedded in the Egyptian soul, signifying life, fertility, and the very essence of the land. The sounds of the river at this hour are primordial. The ceaseless, gentle current, a soft, low murmur, a constant whisper against the banks, carrying the memory of millennia. The faint splash of an oar dipped carefully into the water, a quiet disturbance quickly absorbed by the river's vastness. The distant cry of a solitary night bird, perhaps an ibis or a heron, echoing across the wide expanse of water. The buzz of an occasional night insect, the soft rustle of unseen animal life in the vegetation along the banks, the faint rustle of papyrus reeds on the distant shores, stirred by the lightest of nocturnal breezes, a dry, hushed sound, and clean, a gentle caress that soothes and calms. Small, unassuming fishing boats, perhaps, would be scattered across the river's surface, a nocturnal floral offering to the tranquil night. Their lanterns, simple oil lamps or small fires, would cast faint, bobbing reflections on the dark water, like tiny, moving stars on the liquid expanse. The fishermen, if they were out, would work in silence, their movements slow. It is a profound source of peace, a symbol of continuity and enduring strength and mystery, holding countless stories within its flowing waters, an eternal, silent presence in the Egyptian night. Its darkness holds the secrets of forgotten times, yet its ceaseless movement suggests an eternal present. And deliberate, their nets cast with practiced ease, waiting patiently for the subtle tug of a catch. Without light pollution, every star, every constellation would be sharp and distinct, a celestial map known to ancient mariners and farmers alike, guiding their seasons and their journeys. The air above the river is cool and damp, carrying the rich, earthy scent of river mud, mingled with the faint, sweet perfume of blooming water lilies that open only at night. The river, in its nighttime quietude, feels vast and infinite, a timeless entity flowing through history. The visual expanse of the night sky, a dizzying tapestry of glittering stars, would invite contemplation. The gentle rocking of a small boat on the water, a soothing, almost hypnotic motion. The deep, resonant silence that settles over the rural lands beside the Nile, a silence broken only by the natural world. The scent of blooming water lilies, their delicate, sweet perfume rising from the dark water, mingling with the earthy smell of the river. The subtle, internal rhythm of the river, a slow, powerful pulse that permeates the very atmosphere, inviting the mind to synchronize with its ancient flow, leading to a state of profound peace. The quiet, unhurried movements of the fishermen, their silhouettes barely visible against the starlit river, their patience, a reflection of the river's own timelessness, the soft, continuous murmur of the current, a background lullaby that is both constant and subtly changing, inviting the ears to relax and simply listen without seeking specific meaning. The vast, dark expanse of the Nile itself, a profound sense of depth. Chapter 7. Sleep's gentle embrace as the deep hours of night unfold. Cleopatra finally surrenders to sleep's gentle embrace. Within the quiet sanctity of her bedchamber, insulated by the thick palace walls, the world outside fades into an indistinct murmur, a distant whisper on the edge of awareness. The last, faint glow of the oil lamp, perhaps now turned to its lowest flicker, casts long, soft shadows across the floor, soon to be extinguished, leaving only the profound darkness. The bed, a haven of comfort, holds her securely. The fine linen sheets, cool and smooth against her skin, conform to her body. The environment is perfectly calibrated for the deepest possible rest, allowing the brain to fully disconnect, to process the day's experiences, and to prepare for the renewed energy of the morning. Each exhalation would carry away the last vestiges of the day's concerns, the burdens of queenship, the complexities of politics. The muscles release all tension, the limbs become heavy and relaxed. The gentle lapping of the Nile, the intricate patterns of a fresco on the wall, the faces of her children or trusted advisors, the subtle, lingering scent of fragrant oils from her bath, a soft, pleasant aroma. These dreams, unburdened by the waking world's demands, would be a realm of gentle, fluid imagery, perhaps offering subtle insights or simply a comforting replay of familiar sensations. These sounds are not disturbances, but rather part of the ambient stillness, like the natural breathing of a vast, sleeping entity. The mind, too, is heavy, slowly drifting away. The body, exhausted from the demands of a public life, would sink deeper into the mattress, finding profound rest. The soft, resilient pillows support her head, allowing the neck and shoulders to relax completely. The weight of the coverings, perhaps a light, soft blanket, even in the warmth of Egypt, provides a sense of security, a gentle cocoon. Her breathing would deepen, becoming slow and rhythmic, the steady cadence of true, restorative sleep. The palace itself would be utterly quiet now, save for the very occasional, almost imperceptible creak of ancient timbers, or the softest sigh of the wind through a distant archway. No artificial light would penetrate the darkness. No sudden sounds would jar the stillness. Dreams, if they came, might be a tapestry woven from the day's sensory inputs, the scent of jasmine from the garden, the feeling of complete stillness, of the body being perfectly at rest, sinking into the mattress as if into soft sand. The cool, clean air of the chamber, a gentle caress on the skin, contributing to the sense of comfort and ease. The deep, profound silence, a quiet so complete that even the smallest natural sounds from outside the palace walls, like the distant chirp of a cricket or the rustle of leaves, might seem magnified, yet still remain soothing. The sensation of her own body being fully supported, perfectly aligned, allowing for effortless breathing and a complete surrender to the unconscious state. The final extinguishing of the lamp, plunging the room into absolute darkness, inviting the eyes to close and the internal world to take over, guided only by the subconscious. The rhythmic, slow movement of the earth, an imperceptible turning that continues ceaselessly, carrying the sleeping palace, the sleeping city, the sleeping river, through the vastness of the night. The feeling of timelessness that sleep brings, where hours become moments, and the boundaries between waking and dreaming gently blur, creating a seamless, restorative experience. The very air seems to hold a quality of ancient peace, a deep calm that has settled over this land for millennia, inviting all who rest here to share in its profound tranquility. Chapter 8: The Silent Watch of the Stars Above the Sleeping Palace. Above the quiet Nile, the stars continue their silent, majestic journey across the vast expanse of the Egyptian night sky. Unburdened by the artificial glow of modern cities, they shine with an intensity that is rarely seen in our contemporary world. Its ethereal glow provides a subtle ambient illumination to the land, painting the distant desert dunes with a ghostly luminescence. Orion, with his bright belt, Sirius, the dog star, burning with an intense blue-white light, its appearance signaling the crucial flooding of the Nile. This cosmic silence is absolute, unbroken by any earthly sound, a realm of pure, unimpeded light and darkness. It was their map, their calendar, their inspiration. The very fabric of their stories and beliefs was often woven into the patterns of the stars, each star rising and setting in its turn. Its various phases, from a slender crescent to a full, luminous orb, mark the passage of weeks and months. The Big Dipper, or plow, circling the celestial pole, a constant guide for travelers and a marker of time. These celestial patterns are not just distant lights. They are an ancient clock, a calendar, and a source of profound wonder for those who gaze upon them. This sound is not heard by the ears, but felt by the imagination and the mind to find rest in the profound absence of light, inviting dreams to unfold, and casting long, soft shadows from the towering palm trees along the riverbanks. Each point of light, a distant sun, contributes to a shimmering tapestry, a celestial dome that stretches infinitely in all directions. The Milky Way, a faint, luminous band of countless stars and cosmic dust, drifts slowly across the heavens, a river of light mirroring the Nile below. This sensation can be both humbling and profoundly peaceful, placing individual concerns into a larger, more eternal perspective. Constellations, familiar to the ancient Egyptians as they are to us, slowly wheel across the sky. The air high above the palace is thin and cold, carrying no scent, only the pure, profound emptiness of space. The visual spectacle of the night sky would be deeply ingrained in the consciousness of anyone living in ancient Egypt. The feeling of immense scale, of being a small part of something truly vast and incomprehensible. The subtle, imperceptible movement of the stars, a slow, majestic dance across the celestial sphere, indicating the relentless but gentle march of time through the night. The quiet, constant presence of the moon, if it is visible, casting its soft, silver light over the landscape. The very air seems to shimmer with the light of distant stars, creating a subtle, almost magical glow over the sleeping world, painting familiar landscapes with a new, ethereal beauty. The complete absence of artificial noise, allowing the natural sounds of the earth and the subtle hum of the cosmos to resonate without interruption, creating a backdrop of profound stillness. The faint, almost imperceptible whisper of the upper atmosphere, as if the very universe is breathing a soft, cosmic exhalation. The deep, cool darkness that envelops everything, a comforting blanket that allows the eyes to relax. Chapter 9: The Rhythm of Respiration. As Cleopatra sleeps, her breathing becomes deep, even, and remarkably steady. Each inhalation is slow, a gentle drawing in of the cool night air, filling her lungs with refreshing oxygen. This rhythmic movement is constant, a steady pulse that mirrors the quiet rhythms of the sleeping palace and the world beyond its walls. It carries the faint, comforting sense of clean linen, processed and gently released, a continuous exchange that maintains the delicate balance of life. This unconscious process is a testament to the body's innate ability to find and maintain equilibrium during rest. And the lingering, sweet aroma of jasmine from the garden, carried in on the last breezes of the evening. Every muscle in the body loosens, every tension dissolves, allowing for complete physical surrender to the mattress. It is a soothing, repetitive sound, inherently calming, a constant presence that anchors the mind in the present moment of repose. These scents are soft, non-intrusive, and contribute to the atmosphere of profound tranquility. The heart rate decreases, blood flow becomes gentler, all preparing for deep restoration. Each exhalation is long, a quiet release, expelling the used air, along with any lingering tension from the day. The gentle rise and fall of her chest, a soft, almost imperceptible motion beneath the fine linen sheets, marks the passage of each breath. The air in the bedchamber, having settled with the stillness of night, is pure and calm. The very act of breathing, in this state of deep sleep, the silence of the room, broken only by the soft sounds of breathing, allows this fundamental rhythm to become the focal point of awareness. If one were to listen closely, the feeling of the cool, smooth sheets against the skin with each gentle movement of the body, a constant, comforting tactile sensation, the slight rustle of the fabric, a very soft whisper in the stillness, the deep, profound relaxation that accompanies this rhythmic breathing, entering a state of unburdened awareness, free from the demands of waking life. The subtle change in the air pressure within the room with each inhalation and exhalation, an almost imperceptible wave of calm moving through the enclosed space, reinforcing the sense of peace. The complete absence of external stimuli, allowing the internal landscape of the body to become the primary focus, a peaceful, self-regulating mechanism performing its essential nocturnal work. Chapter 10. The unfolding dreams in the depths of her sleep. As her breathing remains steady and profound, Cleopatra's mind may embark on the quiet, often enigmatic journey of dreams. These are not planned adventures, but spontaneous narratives, woven from the threads of her waking life, her experiences, her concerns, and her deepest subconscious processes. Perhaps she dreams of the Nile, its waters flowing gently under a moonlit sky, the surface shimmering with faint reflections, and unburdened by the weight of their lineage, their laughter echoing softly in the dream's quiet spaces, or the stern, yet familiar, countenances of her advisors. Their words, perhaps, murmuring indistinctly, offering guidance, or presenting challenges within the fluid logic of sleep. She might hear the soft, distant splash of a fish, or feel the cool, damp air on her skin, sensations amplified and transformed within the dreamscape. The light might shift dramatically from the deep shadows of night to the sudden, brilliant clarity of a desert sunrise, all within the blink of an inner eye. The faint murmur of a crowd, a distant call, the soft rustle of silk, or the quiet whisper of a secret shared. These auditory elements contribute to the immersive inner world of sleep. The textures of stone and rich fabrics would be present, felt with an enhanced sensitivity. It is a time for the subconscious to play, to explore, and to quietly restore its balance. The tactile experiences of her dreams would be as varied as the narratives themselves, all contributing to a profound sense of immersion. Each dream is a fleeting, private world. The scent of exotic perfumes or the dry smell of ancient papyrus might drift through these dream environments. They are the mind's way of sorting, consolidating, and processing the vast amounts of information and emotion accumulated throughout the day, preparing for the clarity of the next morning. The river, a constant in her life, might appear as a symbol of continuity, of power, or of the life-giving essence of her kingdom. Or perhaps her dreams are populated by the familiar faces of her family, her children. Young, the vastness of the palace might transform in her dreams, becoming endless corridors stretching into mist, or intimate courtyards bathed in an otherworldly light. Sometimes, a dream might touch upon the concerns of her reign, the subtle complexities of Roman politics, the weight of a decision, the strategic maneuvers of a distant army. But in the dream, these concerns are softened, detached, viewed from a distance, perhaps even resolved in ways that defy waking logic, allowing the mind to work through anxieties in a safe, unconscious space. The colors in her dreams might be muted, ethereal, or intensely vibrant, reflecting the emotional tone of the unfolding narrative. The sounds of her dreams would be selective, amplified, or distorted. The feeling of floating, of effortless movement, or perhaps the grounded sensation of walking on ancient earth. The narratives of dreams are often non-linear, fragmented, yet deeply meaningful to the sleeper. The deep, peaceful state of slumber allows these dreams to unfold freely, without interruption or external judgment. The subtle interplay of memory and imagination, weaving past events with future possibilities, creating a unique, personal tapestry of experiences within the realm of sleep. Chapter 11. The long night's stillness as the hours of night deepen. Approaching the stillness that precedes dawn, the world around Cleopatra's sleeping form settles into its most profound quietude. The sounds that remain are the most fundamental, the most ancient, those that have echoed through countless nights over millennia in this timeless land. The distant, almost imperceptible rush of the Nile's current, a constant, low whisper against the riverbanks, now sounds like the very breath of Egypt, eternal and unwavering. It is a sound that has accompanied the sleep of pharaohs, peasants, and queens alike for thousands of years, a soothing testament to continuity. It carries with it the pure scent of the desert's quiet dust, mingled with the lingering dampness of the river. This crisp, clean air is untainted by the heat or activity of the day, a breath of profound stillness. The cool night air, having fully asserted its presence, flows gently through the palace courtyards and into open chambers. The absence of visual stimulation helps the mind to disengage fully, to sink into the deepest, most restorative phases of sleep. This profound calm is intensely soothing. The stars continue their majestic, silent procession across the velvet blackness of the sky. This is the sound of life continuing quietly and completely relaxed against the mattress, no longer fighting the day's strains, but surrendering to the profound pull of rest. And even the vigilant guards move with an increased slowness, their footsteps softer, more deliberate. The occasional hoot of a distant owl, or the faint cry of a nocturnal creature in the surrounding wilderness, briefly punctuates the deep silence, then fades once more into the quiet. their light reaching the earth after unimaginable journeys through space, provides the only illumination outside the palace walls, painting the landscape in shades of deep indigo and silver, a world of intricate shadows and quiet mystery and external thought, leaving only a vast, empty space for rest. Within the palace, the last of the embers from the kitchen fires have faded to ash. The oil lamps have been extinguished. This is the hour when the past seems closest, when the veil between times layers thins, and mind find perfect equilibrium in the deep, undisturbed peace of sleep. The ancient stones of the palace, the sands of the desert, the waters of the Nile, they all seem to hold the quiet echoes of countless lives lived, countless nights passed in this very spot. A sense of deep historical resonance permeates the air. The profound darkness, unbroken by any artificial glow, allows the eyes to relax completely, to find ultimate rest. The feeling of absolute stillness, both internal and external, as if the entire world has paused, holding its breath in the quiet embrace of the deepest night. The sensation of the body being utterly at peace, heavy, the gentle, consistent rhythm of breathing, a quiet, internal pulse that resonates with the slow, steady beat of the sleeping world around her. The faint, almost imperceptible shift in the ambient temperature as the deepest part of the night passes. A subtle coolness before the first hint of pre-dawn air begins to stir. The deep, all-encompassing silence, a profound quiet that allows the mind to truly unwind, to release all tension. The subtle, internal hum of profound relaxation, a sense of well-being that permeates the entire being as the body. Chapter 12. Before the first light. As the deepest hours of the night slowly give way, a subtle shift begins to occur in the eastern sky, long before any direct light announces the sun's return. This is the hour known as astronomical twilight, where the faintest hint of a less than absolute darkness begins to appear on the horizon. The Milky Way might seem too thin, its ethereal glow becoming more delicate as the vastness of space begins its quiet transition. The specific sense of the night, the damp earth, the lingering sweetness of jasmine might seem to intensify briefly before the fresh aromas of morning begin to emerge. The inky blackness softens almost imperceptibly, becoming a deep, velvety blue. It is no longer the deep, all-encompassing stillness of midnight. The few remaining night guards might shift their weight or take a deeper breath, sensing the subtle change in the atmosphere. It is a peaceful, unhurried transition, where the world seems to pause, gathering its energy for the vibrancy that will soon return. The very air feels heavy with this quiet anticipation, a sense of patient waiting, and even a sign of continued gentle rest, not yet stirring fully to wakefulness. The stars, which had shone with such brilliant intensity throughout the darkest hours, begin to fade ever so slightly, their myriad points of light becoming a little less sharp, a little more diffused against the slowly lightening backdrop. The air remains cool and still, often holding a whisper of dew, a gentle dampness that settles on surfaces, a tangible sign of the night's final breath. The body, having completed much of its restoration, might begin its slow, unconscious preparation for waking, a gradual ascent from the depths of slumber. Within the palace, the silence persists, though it carries a different quality now. Cleopatra's sleep, though still deep, might become a little lighter, perhaps moving into a phase where dreams are more vivid, less profound. The faint sounds of the river, the soft lapping of water, might become a little more distinct now, the ambient quiet allowing them to carry further. A solitary bird might utter a tentative, pre-dawn chirp, quickly swallowed by the remaining silence. This is a time of suspension, a delicate balance between the end of night and the promise of dawn. The feeling of the mattress and sheets becoming slightly less cool, a subtle shift in temperature that hints at the coming warmth of the sun, even before it is visible. The deep, consistent rhythm of breathing, though perhaps a little less profound, still smooth. The visual impression of the faintest lightning on the horizon, a deep blue that slowly replaces the absolute black, a subtle indication of the Earth's slow turning towards the sun. The sounds of the natural world in this pre-dawn hour, the very first tentative chirps of insects or birds, a quiet rustle in the distant reeds, are soft, hesitant, not yet fully awake. The stillness of the palace, profound and ancient, holds the sleeping queen in its timeless embrace, a sanctuary against the slow, inevitable approach of the new day. The subtle shift in the quality of the air, a sense of it becoming lighter, fresher, losing its deep nocturnal density as the first rays of dawn begin their journey towards the surface. The subconscious mind might begin its own slow ascent, pulling away from the deepest dream states, slowly moving towards the lighter realm of pre-waking thoughts, still dreamlike, yet closer to awareness. The feeling of complete peace, undisturbed by any external demands, allowing the final moments of profound rest to fully settle into the body and mind. Chapter 13. The First Whispers of Dawn. And then it comes. The very first, unmistakable whisper of dawn. Not a sudden burst of light, but an almost imperceptible brightening on the eastern horizon. A faint line of pale gray, then soft rose, then a delicate, ethereal gold. The vast celestial tapestry slowly dissolves, leaving behind a sky of luminous, soft colors. The dew, which had settled quietly throughout the night, begins to shimmer on leaves and surfaces, catching the first faint rays of light, reflecting them back as tiny, glittering points. The scent of fresh water from the Nile, mingling with the earthy aroma of damp soil, becomes more pronounced, signaling the vitality of the new day. This is the true awakening, the signal that the long night has finally reached its gentle conclusion. A faint, almost imperceptible, gray light begins to filter through, softening the edges of furniture and making the outlines of the room subtly visible. A sense of gentle awakening permeates the room. The stars, which were once so dominant, now begin their rapid retreat, fading into the expanding light, becoming invisible one by one, swallowed by the increasing brilliance of the coming sun. And purples to soft pinks and golds, a gradual, beautiful transformation that marks the passage of time from night to day. The air begins to stir with a newfound energy, a subtle freshness that washes over the land. These are the sweet, natural melodies of dawn, a timeless symphony of awakening. In the palace, a few essential staff members begin to stir in earnest. The quiet clatter of pottery from the kitchens, the soft scrape of brooms on stone floors, the low murmur of voices from guards changing shifts. These sounds, once distant, now become closer, more defined, signaling the gradual return of activity to the royal household. Cleopatra's sleep, now truly shallow, might begin to respond to these subtle changes. Her breathing might become a little faster, a little less profound. Her body might subtly shift, perhaps a hand moving, a leg extending, the initial stirrings of wakefulness. The mind, having completed its nocturnal duties, begins its slow re-engagement with the waking world. The first tentative sounds of birdsong emerge from the palace gardens, a soft, hopeful chirping that gradually builds into a full chorus as more birds awaken to the light. The light in the bedchamber, though still dim, is no longer the deep, absolute darkness of night. The feeling of the air, cool and fresh against the exposed skin, invigorating and signaling the transition from rest to renewed activity. The subtle visual shift of colors in the sky, from deep blues, the faint, increasing sounds of the waking world outside the palace, the distant murmur of the city beginning to stir. The first sounds of boats on the Nile, a gentle rising of the ambient noise. The quiet, internal sensation of the body slowly re-energizing, muscles beginning to regain their tone, the mind gently ascending from the depths of sleep, preparing for the demands of a new day. The lingering scent of night, the cool dampness, the faint floral notes, slowly beginning to mingle with the fresher, warmer aromas that precede the full light and heat of the Egyptian morning. The anticipation of the sun's eventual return, a powerful, ancient promise of warmth, light, and renewed life, subtly drawing the sleeping world towards its waking state. Chapter 14. The Return to Awareness. The whispers of dawn grow into a gentle chorus, and with them, Cleopatra's awareness gradually, deliberately returns. It is not a jarring jolt, but a slow, peaceful surfacing from the depths of sleep, much like a papyrus boat drifting gently to the surface of the Nile. The familiar contours of her bedchamber, the soft drapes, the intricate patterns on the walls, bathed in the soft, diffused light of pre-dawn. The air feels cool, yet fresh and clean, carrying the subtle sense of her sleeping space and the first faint notes of the waking world from beyond the palace walls. Her eyelids might flutter, allowing faint slivers of the emerging light to register before slowly, softly opening. The world slowly comes into focus. Her breathing, though still deep, now carries a more conscious rhythm, a deliberate intake of the new day's air. The body begins its slow, natural process of stretching, limbs extending gently, muscles easing into readiness. There is no urgency, only a natural unfolding. Thoughts drift, memories from the previous day, quiet anticipations for the hours ahead. There is no rush, no immediate need to engage, simply a slow, thoughtful return to consciousness, to rise and meet its challenges with renewed energy and purpose. The sounds of the palace, once faint whispers, now become distinct. This feeling is profound and simple. It is the voice of the land, eternal and calm. This aroma is a gentle invitation to fully awaken, to prepare for the day's nourishment. The quiet padding of servants' feet in distant corridors, preparing for the day's tasks, and distinct, the gentle transformation from the soft blur of sleep to the clear focus of awareness. The soft murmur of voices, still low, but more purposeful. The gentle clatter of pottery as a morning meal is prepared in the kitchens. These sounds are familiar, comforting in their predictability. The scent of warm bread, perhaps, or fresh fruit, carried on the air from the palace kitchens, signaling the arrival of the morning's first sustenance. As she slowly sits up, the textures around her become more pronounced. The cool smoothness of the linen sheets, the soft give of the pillows, the sturdy feel of the bed frame. These tactile sensations ground her in the present moment, connecting her to her immediate surroundings. The light outside the window grows stronger, moving from soft pastel hues to clearer, brighter tones. The sky above Alexandria begins to deepen into a pale, clear blue, signaling the sun's imminent ascent. The sea, in the distance, slowly changes from dark indigo to a shimmering gray, then the first hint of its midday sapphire. Her mind, though not yet fully engaged in the demands of queenship, begins to gently stir. The sound of the Nile, now a gentle, constant lapping against the city's edge, carries into the chamber a soothing, rhythmic backdrop to her awakening. The feeling of the morning air, still cool and refreshing, a gentle caress on the skin, inviting her to fully embrace the new day, the visual clarity that comes with waking, the subtle details of her surroundings becoming sharp, the quiet anticipation of a new beginning, a fresh start, as the sun's first rays promise warmth, light, and the unfolding of another day in ancient Egypt. Chapter 15. The promise of a new day with full awareness now returned. The promise of a new day stretches out before Cleopatra. It is not yet fully illuminated by the sun, but the pervasive brightness of pre-dawn has taken hold, painting the world in shades of soft gray and pale gold. The air is still wonderfully cool, holding the last vestiges of the night's freshness before the inevitable heat of the Egyptian day begins its climb. The palace, once a haven of deep slumber, now hums with the gentle stirrings of purposeful activity. The distant sounds of preparations in the kitchens become more defined. The muted clatter of pots, the low murmur of servants' voices, the rhythmic grinding of grain, the low rumble of carts beginning to move along the cobblestone streets, the muted calls of early vendors setting up their stalls. The earthy aroma of the Nile, carried on a gentle breeze, mingles with the sweet fragrance of blooming flowers from the palace gardens, still dewy from the night. The gentle warmth of her simple morning tunic as she slips it on, a soft caress against her skin. The faint, promising scent of fresh bread baking in the palace ovens might also drift through, a warm, inviting aroma. These are the soothing, natural sounds that accompany her return to the day. These are the sounds of life, resuming a quiet, ancient symphony of urban awakening. These sounds are not intrusive, but rather comforting, indicating the smooth, efficient operation of the royal household. And perhaps honey, eaten in a calm, unhurried manner, nourishing the body after the long fast of night, but all to be faced with the renewed strength that comes from a night of deep, undisturbed rest. From her chambers she might hear the faint sounds of the city of Alexandria slowly awakening, the distant bray of a donkey. The colors are still soft, muted by the indirect light, but gaining clarity with each passing moment, preparing for the full brilliance of the sun. The scent of the morning is distinct. The light in her chambers continues to brighten, revealing the rich details of the frescoes on the walls, the gleam of polished stone, the intricate patterns of the mosaic floor. This is a moment of calm before the day's demands fully assert themselves, a time for quiet thought, for gathering inner resources, for preparing the mind and spirit for the responsibilities of queenship that await. There is a sense of inherent peace in this transition, a profound appreciation for the quiet moments that precede the inevitable busyness. The sensation of the cool, smooth floor beneath her feet as she rises from the bed, a grounding touch that connects her to the ancient stones of the palace. The sounds of the royal gardens outside her window, the gentle rustle of palm fronds in the morning breeze, the chirping of birds, the soft gurgle of a nearby fountain, the visual expanse of the sky, now a pale, clear blue at the zenith, slowly brightening towards the eastern horizon, where the first intense golden glow of the rising sun is about to emerge, promising light and warmth. The subtle feeling of energy returning to the body, a gentle surge of vitality that accompanies the transition from deep sleep to full wakefulness, preparing her for the day's physical and mental tasks. The quiet anticipation of the day's first meal, a simple repast of fresh fruit, bread, the sense of a fresh beginning, a clean slate as the new day dawns, bringing with it both challenges and opportunities. Chapter 16. The Timelessness of the Nile. And so, as the day prepares to fully begin, the enduring presence of the Nile remains. It has flowed through countless evenings and mornings, witnessed the rise and fall of empires, the dreams and awakenings of countless souls. Its surface, previously a dark mirror, now reveals the faint patterns of the current, the subtle swirls and eddies that mark its timeless journey. Its rhythm is constant, its whisper eternal. The river, from her window, now gleams with a soft, silvery light, reflecting the brightening sky. The air that sweeps in from the river carries the profound scent of its ancient waters, of fertile earth, of reeds, and of the unique mineral temps that defines this life-giving artery of Egypt. These are the sounds of continuous activity, yet they remain gentle, absorbed by the vastness of the river and the quiet expanse of the morning. It is a scent that is both calming and deeply evocative, connecting her to the very essence of her land. This thought brings a sense of groundedness and purpose. The distant sounds of boats beginning to move on the river become more distinct. The soft creak of oars, the rhythmic splash of water, the low voices of boatmen preparing their vessels for the day's travel. The visual expanse of the Nile stretches out, vast and unyielding, a symbol of continuity and enduring power. Its banks, lined with lush vegetation, then giving way to the desert beyond, represent the delicate balance of life and barrenness that defines Egypt. May your own rest be as profound, as peaceful, and as deeply restorative as an evening by the timeless waters of the Nile. The sun will rise, the river will flow, and life will stir, just as it has always done, offering a profound sense of stability and predictability. This morning by the Nile is not merely the start of a new day, but a timeless continuation of cycles that have unfolded for millennia. The feeling of the river's omnipresent coolness, a refreshing presence even as the day begins to warm, a constant source of life and relief in the hot Egyptian climate. The quiet, internal contemplation of the river's vastness, its ancient history, and its crucial role in sustaining all life in Egypt. The subtle shimmer on the water's surface as the light intensifies, creating moving patterns of light that mesmerize the eye, inviting a quiet, meditative gaze. The sounds of water birds, now fully awake, their calls echoing across the river, adding to the natural symphony of the dawn, a vibrant yet gentle presence. The feeling of profound connection to this ancient land through the unchanging presence of the river, a sense of belonging to something far larger and older than herself. The deep breath of fresh river-infused air, revitalizing and cleansing, preparing the body and mind for the demands of the day with the calm assurance of nature's constancy. And so, as the world of Cleopatra's Egypt slowly awakens, and the full light of the sun begins to embrace the Nile, we leave her to the quiet start of her day, the gentle, continuous flow of the water, a soft, eternal murmur that accompanies the return to full wakefulness, providing a steady, comforting background to the emerging day. Chapter 17. The Palace Garden at Dawn. As the sky brightens, moving from the ethereal pastel hues of pre-dawn to a clearer, more defined blue, the extensive palace gardens begin their own quiet awakening. These were not wild, untamed spaces, but meticulously planned oases of green and scent, designed to offer both beauty and practical respite from the city's intensity. The heavy, sweet fragrance of jasmine which had dominated the night now mingles with the more delicate aroma of lotus blossoms unfurling their petals in the artificial ponds and canals. What began as a few tentative chirps now swells into a vibrant symphony, each species adding its unique melody to the growing avian concert. Sparrows, doves, and various Nile waterfowl greet the rising light with a joyful cacophony, their calls echoing softly through the lush greenery. A gardener might be quietly tending to a prized plant, or a palace servant might be drawing water from a decorative well, their movements hushed, respecting the profound peace of the early hour. The garden is not yet fully alive with human activity, but is subtly stirring, mirroring the slow awakening of the queen herself. It's a natural, organic transition, a soft exhalation of the night's peace, and a gentle inhalation of the coming day's vitality. Beneath this vocal tapestry, one might hear the gentle buzz of early bees beginning their tireless work, drawn to the nectar-rich blossoms, or the soft rustle of a small lizard darting through the undergrowth. Disturbed by the increasing light, their white and pink hues slowly becoming visible against the still dark water. The taller papyrus reeds, swaying gently in the barely perceptible morning breeze, emit a subtle, dry, grassy scent, the first rays of the true morning sun, still soft and gentle, begin to filter through the dense foliage of date palms and sycamore trees, creating shifting patterns of light and shadow on the dew-kissed pathways. The air in the garden is remarkably fresh, imbued with the rich, earthy scent of damp soil and the vibrant perfumes of countless blooming flowers. The most prominent sounds in the garden at this hour are the chorus of birdsong. The cool moisture of dew still clings to every leaf and petal, glistening like tiny jewels as the first sunlight catches them. The texture of the ground changes from the night's dampness to a slowly drying earth, preparing for the day's warmth. The soft crunch of sand underfoot on a pathway, or the yielding softness of moss beside a hidden water feature, would be distinct sensory experiences in the quiet morning. Even in the stillness, there's a sense of slow, deliberate movement within the garden. Chapter 18. Echoes in stone and air. As Cleopatra begins her slow, gentle stirrings within her chambers, the very stones of the palace around her hold a palpable sense of history, a quiet, enduring presence that transcends the mere passage of hours. The vast structure, built of durable limestone and sometimes accented with harder, gleaming granite, would have absorbed the heat of countless suns and the coolness of countless nights. Even after the warmth of the sun had kissed its outer surfaces, the inner depths of the structure retained a comforting coolness, a natural respite from the Egyptian heat. It was the smell of contained time, of history gently breathed in and out. This scent, combined with the profound quiet, gave the palace a timeless quality, as if it existed outside the normal flow of human events. They held a sense of unseen presences, not threatening, but rather protective. A quiet continuity with all who had walked these same halls for centuries. The very air felt heavy with these echoes of lives long past, a subtle vibration of forgotten conversations and momentous decisions. This enduring stability of the physical structure provided a constant, unspoken reassurance, a silent guardian through the changing rhythms of the night and the approaching day. The textures of the walls, sometimes smooth and polished, sometimes rough and unadorned where they met the bedrock, spoke of meticulous craftsmanship and the raw materials of the land itself. Its thick walls and towering columns offered not just protection from the elements and intruders, but also a profound sense of permanence. Imagine the coolness of the stone beneath the lightest touch, a constant reminder of the solid, ancient foundations upon which the palace stood. The air within these grand halls and chambers, even after the night's purification, carried a faint, almost imperceptible aroma of age and dust, mingled with the lingering incense from ancient ceremonies or the subtle scent of exotic woods used in its construction. Sounds within the palace during this early hour were often amplified by the vast, echoing spaces. A distant, soft thud from a closing door, the gentle scrape of a sandal on a polished floor in a far-off corridor, or the almost inaudible murmur of an early rising guard would carry surprisingly far, then slowly dissipate into the pervasive silence. These sounds would seem to reverberate, touching the ancient stones before fading, leaving behind only their lingering echo. The shadows that lingered in the deepest recesses of the palace, beneath high archways or within deep alcoves, were ancient and profound. Chapter 19. The distant desert's awakening beyond the fertile green strip of the Nile Valley. Past the cultivated fields and the cultivated elegance of Alexandria's gardens, lay the vast, boundless expanse of the Egyptian desert. In the deepest hours of the night, this ancient landscape held a profound and imposing silence, broken only by the whispers of the wind carrying fine grains of sand, or the far-off haunting cry of a nocturnal predator. The deep, inky black of their shadowed sides slowly lightened, revealing the nuanced textures of wind-sculpted ridges and valleys. The first hint of light, a pale gray, then a faint ochre, would touch the very peaks of the highest dunes, painting them in ethereal, fleeting colors that changed with each passing minute. But even here, as dawn approached, a subtle, almost imperceptible awakening began. The dry mineral temps of ancient rock, warmed by the residual heat of the earth, mingled with the faint, the delicate rustle of sand as a tiny desert mouse or a beetle burrowed deeper to escape the coming sun. The dry, almost brittle snap of a twig on a rare desert bush, stirred by a breath of wind. Or, perhaps, from truly far away, the almost unheard call of a desert fox. A solitary sound, swallowed quickly by the immensity of the landscape. These sounds only served to underscore the profound, almost overwhelming silence that permeated the desert. Almost imperceptible scent of hardy desert plants, like acacia or desert lavender, their sparse leaves and small blossoms, releasing their essential oils into the crisp morning air. There was also the clean, unburdened smell of vast, open space, a sense of infinite expanse. The sand dunes, which had been stark, sharp silhouettes against the brilliant night sky, now began to soften their edges. The air in the desert, though still cool, carried an entirely different set of scents. The monochromatic blues and blacks of night slowly gave way to a palette of soft yellows. Every shadow lengthened, then shortened, then twisted, playing a silent dance across the ancient, unchanging terrain. The very feeling of the desert was one of timelessness and immense patience, an untouched realm where the rhythms of life were dictated by the most fundamental forces of sun, wind, and the rare, precious drops of water. It was a world that Cleopatra, in her palace by the Nile, would have known existed, a vast, silent counterpoint to her vibrant, riverine kingdom. Sounds in the desert were rare and often amplified by the stillness. The visual transformation of the desert at dawn was a spectacle of understated beauty. Chapter 20. Preparations for the day's demands. As the first golden rays of the Egyptian sun finally touched the eastern facade of the royal palace, signaling the full arrival of a new day, the quiet hum of activity within its walls began to subtly intensify. Cleopatra's brief period of personal repose was drawing to a close, and the demands of her formidable position as Queen of Egypt were slowly, inevitably, asserting themselves. They would ensure that her bath, if taken earlier, was fully cleared and the chamber refreshed. The air within her inner sanctum would be subtly changed, the heavy, sweet perfumes of the night gradually replaced by lighter, invigorating scents, perhaps citrus oils or fresh herbs, designed to awaken the senses and clear the mind. The transition from private calm to public persona was a graceful, meticulously orchestrated process. The soft clinking of the pottery cup and dish, the quiet sounds of eating, would punctuate the calm, focused preparations. These were moments of personal sustenance before the duties of the day began to unfold. Her personal attendants, carefully chosen for their discretion and skill, would now move with a heightened, yet still quiet, efficiency. The grand kitchens would be fully alive with the sounds of cooking, the busy chatter of servants, the rhythmic thud of pestles. Guards would be taking up their full daytime positions, their footsteps more deliberate. Scribes and administrators would already be at work in their offices, preparing scrolls and documents for her review. The palace was fully awake, a vast, ancient machine preparing to execute the will of its queen. This quiet crescendo of activity, from the profound stillness of night to the purposeful hum of dawn, marked Cleopatra's daily transition from the personal peace of the evening to the formidable challenges of ruling ancient Egypt. The application of subtle kohl to her eyes, defining and enhancing their natural allure, would be a quiet, focused task, performed with the utmost precision. This was not mere vanity, but a strategic act of presentation, emphasizing her regality and commanding presence. The selection of her daily attire was a significant ritual. Not just any garment, but clothing that conveyed her status, her power, and her personal aesthetic. Fine, cool linen tunics, meticulously pressed and sometimes intricately embroidered, would be laid out, perhaps a shimmering silk wrap, imported from distant lands, chosen for its delicate flow and rich color. The quiet rustle of fabrics, the soft clink of carefully selected gold jewelry or precious amulets as they were prepared, would be subtle sounds accompanying this preparation. Her hair would be meticulously styled, perhaps braided with threads of gold or adorned with delicate flowers, a process that required steady hands and immense patience from her most trusted hairdressers. A light morning repast would be presented, freshly baked flatbread, still warm from the palace ovens, refreshing cup of fruit juice, or clear water from the Nile. Outside her immediate chambers, the palace would be a symphony of increasing activity. Chapter 21. The morning meal and sustenance. As the light in Cleopatra's chambers grew steady and bright, Banishing the last lingering shadows of night, the gentle ritual of the morning meal would begin. This was not a grand banquet, but a simple, nourishing repast, designed to gently break the long fast of sleep and prepare the body for the day's demands. A trusted attendant, moving with soft, almost imperceptible steps, would bring a small, intricately carved wooden tray laden with the morning's provisions. The soft texture of the bread, the yielding sweetness of the fruit, the subtle stickiness of the honey, these simple, natural flavors would be experienced keenly, unhurried by the pressures of the day. These are the fundamental sounds of human sustenance, universal across time, inherently calming in their predictability. It was a calm, inviting light, perfectly suited for a quiet start to the day. The very air felt lighter, fresher, invigorated by the new dawn, carrying the subtle, comforting sense of the breakfast. This gentle act of nourishment, performed in stillness, laid a calm foundation for the complex day ahead, ensuring a steady, internal peace before the external world began to press its demands. The attendant would remain nearby, attentive but unobtrusive, ready to anticipate any unspoken need, their presence a silent comfort. There would be no hurried conversations, no urgent dispatches to read. This was a moment for quiet, personal replenishment, a tranquil pause before the world outside demanded her attention. The scent that filled the air was warm and inviting. Freshly baked flatbread, still radiating a subtle heat from the palace ovens, its aroma mixing with the sweet, delicate fragrance of ripe figs and succulent dates, plump and glistening from the morning's harvest. There might be a small dish of honey, golden and viscous, ready to be drizzled over the bread or fruit, its sweetness a gentle awakening for the palate. A cool, clear pitcher of Nile water, perhaps infused with a sprig of mint, would sit beside a polished metal goblet, offering pure, refreshing hydration. Cleopatra would eat slowly, deliberately, savoring each mouthful. The sounds accompanying this meal would be soft and rhythmic. The quiet tearing of bread, the gentle placing of a fruit onto a plate, the barely audible glug of water as it was poured. The light in the chamber, now a clear, soft brilliance, illuminated the intricate patterns on the wooden tray, the subtle sheen of the fruit, and the pristine white of the linen napkins. Chapter 22. Alexandria Awakens. City sounds as the sun climbed higher, beginning its slow ascent towards its zenith. The city of Alexandria, beyond the grand walls of the palace, would begin its full, vibrant awakening. The sounds, which had been distant whispers at dawn, now swelled into a complex, bustling symphony, a testament to the thriving metropolis that Cleopatra governed. The steady, rhythmic clip-clop of donkey hooves on the cobblestone streets, pulling wooden carts laden with fresh produce from the fields or goods from the docks. The rhythmic splash of oars as smaller boats ferried passengers or goods. The distant shouts of sailors and dock workers coordinating their efforts. The air from the harbor might carry the distinct scent of salt, fish, and damp wood, mingling with the earthy smell of the city. The distinctive, often melodic calls of street vendors, announcing their wares, fresh bread, water, fish from the Nile. It would filter down between tall buildings, creating stark contrasts of brilliant sunshine and deep, cool shadows, constantly shifting as the sun climbed. The city was coming alive, breathing, moving, a grand, ancient organism. Its sounds and scents flowing in patterns established over centuries, a testament to enduring human endeavor. their voices rising and falling in ancient patterns, echoing through the narrow alleyways. Yet, even in this increasing activity, there remained a certain ancient rhythm, distinct from the jarring noises of a modern city. From the palace, a keen ear could distinguish the rising crescendo of daily life, the distant ring of a blacksmith's hammer from a workshop, the gentle rustle of textiles being unfurled in a marketplace. These were not overwhelming noises, but a continuous, interwoven tapestry of human activity, signifying the pulse of the city. Near the bustling harbor, the sounds would be more pronounced, the creak and groan of wooden ships being unloaded. The subtle hum of daily commerce would permeate the air, the soft murmur of conversations from merchants setting up their stalls in the agora. Children's voices, now clearer and more playful, would begin to drift from the residential areas, their laughter and simple games a light counterpoint to the more serious sounds of adult labor. The scent of cooking fires, just beginning to be stoked in various homes, would release the warm, spiting aromas of morning meals being prepared throughout the city, adding another layer to the sensory experience of awaking Alexandria. Even the very light would take on a new character in the city's narrow streets. Chapter 23: The Nile in Morning Light. As the morning progressed, casting a brighter and more direct light across the land, the Nile River would reveal its full, vibrant character, no longer a dark, mysterious mirror of the night sky. Its vast surface now gleamed with the intense, shimmering brilliance of the Egyptian sun, reflecting a kaleidoscope of blues and greens. Its current, a constant, life-giving force, would seem more visible now, its eddies and swirls catching the light, creating mesmerizing patterns on the water. The rhythmic chanting of boatmen guiding their feluccas and barges up and down river, their voices carrying clearly across the water, often harmonizing in ancient work songs. The splash of oars as they dipped into the water, the creak of wooden hulls, the soft flapping of sails catching the morning wind. These were the sounds of constant river traffic, of commerce and travel flowing along the timeless waterway. It was a constant, moving landscape, a powerful reminder of the enduring forces that sustained Cleopatra's kingdom. Its waters, its sounds, its scents, all spoke of continuity, of life, and of the unwavering power of nature's ancient pulse. It was a daily spectacle that reinforced the very foundations of Egyptian existence, powerful and calming in its timeless consistency. The air directly above the river would carry a stronger, more pronounced scent of rich, fertile mud, a primal aroma that spoke of abundance and the annual renewal of the land. Mingling with it might be the clean, sharp smell of the water itself, a refreshing contrast to the drier air of the city. The gentle breeze that perpetually swept across the river would carry these scents inland, a constant reminder of Egypt's lifeblood. The sounds on the Nile would now be distinct and purposeful. Small fishing boats, which might have been mere shadowy silhouettes in the pre-dawn, would now be clearly visible, their nets being cast or pulled with practiced ease, glistening with silver catches. The occasional splash of a large fish breaking the surface would send ripples outward, disturbing the sun's reflection, then quickly disappearing into the deeper currents. Along the riverbanks, the lush green of the cultivated fields would shimmer under the morning sun, contrasting sharply with the golden hues of the distant desert. Farmers would be seen tending their crops, their movements slow and steady, connected to the ancient rhythms of planting and harvesting. The distant lowing of cattle or the bleating of goats would drift on the wind, adding to the pastoral symphony of the river's edge. The Nile in morning light was a scene of vibrant activity and profound natural beauty. Chapter 24. Light and Shadow Play as the sun continued its ascent. Climbing higher in the clear Egyptian sky, the internal landscape of Cleopatra's palace underwent a continuous, subtle transformation dictated by the intricate dance of light and shadow. The quality of the light itself changed, becoming sharper, brighter, more direct, yet still imbued with the warmth of the early morning. The vast courtyards, which had been cool and shadowed pockets in the depths of night, now began to flood with brilliant sunshine. These beams of light would pick out individual details, the vibrant colors of a fresco on a high wall illuminating a scene of gods or ancient battles, the intricate patterns of a mosaic floor, bringing its tiny tesserae to life with shimmering color, or the subtle gleam of a gold-leafed capital on a distant column. The polished limestone of their paving stones would gleam, reflecting the light with an intense clarity. This subtle movement, suspended in the light, added a touch of ephemeral beauty to the otherwise solid and unchanging architecture. The palace in this dance of light and shadow became a living, breathing entity, its ancient surfaces constantly redefined and reimagined by the sun's unending journey across the Egyptian sky, a silent, majestic performance that unfolded daily within its very walls. A deep alcove, previously a realm of uniform darkness, would suddenly reveal a hidden carving as a sliver of sunlight crept into its depths. The subtle textures of the stone, the faint imperfections in a polished surface, would become visible, telling silent stories of ancient craftsmanship. The imposing columns that lined the peristyles would cast long, deep shadows, stretching dramatically across the ground, creating striking geometric patterns that shifted and contracted as the sun moved relentlessly overhead. Within the cool interior halls and chambers, the light filtered through strategically placed windows, narrow openings, and high archways, creating shafts of illumination that pierced the semi-darkness. The play of light and shadow created an ever-changing visual spectacle. The air itself, though warming, still held pockets of coolness in the shadowed areas, a refreshing contrast to the growing heat of the sunlit courtyards. One could walk from brilliant, direct light into the sudden, profound coolness of a deeply shadowed passage, a sensory shift that was both invigorating and calming. Even the dust motes, caught in the shafts of light, would become visible. Dancing gently in the still air, tiny particles illuminated by the sun's powerful gaze. Chapter 25. A moment of final contemplation with the morning meal concluded, and her preparations for the day nearly complete. Cleopatra would likely take a final, brief moment of quiet contemplation before fully stepping into the demanding role of queen. Dressed in her formal attire, adorned with the symbols of her office, yet still within the relative sanctuary of her private apartments. This was a last, precious opportunity for personal peace. She might stand by a window, gazing out across the palace gardens now bathed in the clear, bright light of mid-morning. The sounds of the city, though more pronounced, would still feel somewhat distant, softened by the thick walls. These were the moments of profound personal peace, the resources drawn upon to face the inevitable challenges of her waking hours. The subtle rustle of her rich garments, the faint clink of her jewelry, would be the only sounds as she made this final, internal shift. The peace of the night would recede, not vanishing, but settling into a deeper reservoir, ready to be drawn upon when needed throughout the day. The world of statecraft, diplomacy, and governance now awaited her, and she, refreshed and resolute, was ready to meet it. The timeless rhythms of day and night, of rest and action, had once again completed their ancient cycle, preparing her for the demands of her extraordinary life. There was a quiet strength gained from this nightly surrender to rest, a renewed clarity that arose from the stillness. The vibrant greens of the garden, the gentle stirrings of birds, the subtle scent of warmed earth and blooming flowers. These sensory details would anchor her in the present, a tranquil counterpoint to the complexities that awaited her. Her thoughts, perhaps, would drift for a final moment to the profound calm of the night just past, the deep, restorative sleep, the quiet journey of dreams, the silent watch of the stars, the ancient murmur of the Nile. The very air in the chamber, now warmer but still fresh, would feel charged with a subtle anticipation, a quiet hum of readiness. The light, bright and clear, illuminated every detail, signifying the full arrival of the day and its undeniable demands. This transition from private individual to public ruler was a daily transformation, a shedding of the personal for the political. She might take one last deep breath, a final full intake of the morning air, before turning away from the window. Chapter 26. The palace bustle begins as Cleopatra's private morning rituals concluded. The magnificent Ptolemaic palace truly began to stir with the full energy of a new day. The profound quietude that had enveloped its vast halls throughout the night now gave way to a measured yet ever-increasing symphony of human activity. Palace officials, recognizable by their distinctive attire, moved with a sense of quiet urgency, their movements efficient, their faces set with the focus of the day's tasks. The soft scratching of styluses on wax tablets, or the lighter whisper of quills on papyrus as scribes. Here, attendants would be busy sweeping and cleaning, their brooms whispering rhythmically against the polished stone, scattering dust motes that danced in the shafts of light. The quiet clatter of pottery as food supplies were moved from storage to the kitchens, now joined by the subtle smell of polished wood, the faint metallic temps of newly cleaned bronze, and the earthy scent of the palace's own inner gardens, constantly refreshed. This was the vibrant, yet still controlled, awakening of the seat of power, a slow, deliberate unfolding of daily life within the magnificent Ptolemaic residence, a profound contrast to the quiet of the Nile's slumber. The low murmur of stable hands tending to the royal horses and donkeys, preparing them for the day's travel or ceremonial duties. The distant, almost musical clink of tools from the palace workshops, where artisans might be beginning their work on intricate jewelry, fine furniture, or repairs. Water might be drawn from ornate fountains, its gentle splashing adding a fresh, clear note to the rising ambient sounds. And clerks began their meticulous work of recording, transcribing, and organizing the kingdom's countless documents. These were the quiet sounds of information flowing, of the vast bureaucratic machinery grinding into motion. Doors that had been securely latched through the night now swung open with a soft, resonant thud, revealing bustling chambers and preparing them for their daily functions. It was a gradual crescendo, a purposeful unfolding of routines that had been perfected over generations of royal living. The soft padding of individual footsteps, once isolated, now multiplied into a steady, rhythmic flow of movement through the grand corridors, and across the expansive courtyards. From the administrative wings, one might begin to hear the very faint, distinct sound of papyrus scrolls being unrolled and smoothed flat, a dry, rustling whisper. The central courtyards, once bathed in the cool shadows of dawn, now shone with the brilliant Egyptian sun. From the myriad service entrances, the sounds of provisioning would become apparent. The air itself seemed to grow denser with the mingling scents of morning, the lingering aroma of fresh bread and fruit from earlier meals. Chapter 27. The Grandeur of the Royal Halls. As the morning progressed towards its fuller light, the true grandeur of the palace's royal halls became exquisitely apparent. These were not merely passages for movement, but statements of power, wealth, and sophisticated aesthetic, designed to impress and to inspire awe. The natural coolness of these immense stone structures was palpable, a refreshing presence against the growing warmth of the day outside. The very air within these spaces felt expansive, almost ancient, carrying a subtle, dry scent of aged stone and the lingering faintness of long-gone perfumes. Bathed in the increasing brilliance of the sun, filtered through high windows and vast colonnades, their intricate details emerged with stunning clarity. The sounds of distant activity would be swallowed by the vastness, echoing only softly before dissipating, leaving a pervasive quiet that invited contemplation. The subtle gleam of polished bronze fittings, or the soft luster of polished stone surfaces, added to the overall sense of refined luxury. These grand halls were not just architectural spaces. They were a living testament to the enduring legacy of Egyptian art and power, quietly absorbing the sun's light as another day unfolded within their timeless embrace. Only the deliberate footsteps of an occasional passing guard, their sandals whispering against the polished floor, would briefly punctuate this solemn stillness. The sheer scale was often the first impression. Soaring ceilings adorned with painted constellations or geometric patterns, supported by massive, fluted columns of polished granite or gleaming white limestone. Their colors, remarkably preserved, would glow under the morning light. Deep blues, rich reds, vibrant greens, telling silent stories of a civilization that stretched back thousands of years. The brushstrokes, though ancient, would seem remarkably fresh, drawing the eye into their intricate narratives. The mosaic floors beneath one's feet were masterpieces of meticulous artistry. Countless tiny tesserae, often made of precious stones, colored glass, or intricate pottery shards, formed elaborate scenes. Depictions of the Nile's bounty, mythological figures, or geometric designs that seemed to ripple and shimmer in the moving light. The light, as it streamed in, would strike these surfaces, causing them to sparkle with 1,000 tiny reflections, creating a mesmerizing, almost liquid visual effect. Along the high walls, frescoes would depict scenes of ancient Egyptian life, religious ceremonies, or the glorious conquests of pharaohs past. The very silence within these grand public halls, even amidst the growing palace bustle, held a profound quality. Intricately carved furniture, often made of dark, imported woods like ebony or cedar, inlaid with ivory or precious metals, would stand along the walls, serving as both functional pieces and works of art. Chapter 28. Scents and flavors of the morning palace. As the morning progressed, filling the palace with increasing light and activity, a rich tapestry of scents and subtle flavors began to weave through its vast spaces. No single aroma dominated, but rather a gentle interplay of diverse fragrances, each hinting at the ongoing life and specialized functions within the royal residence. From the fully active palace kitchens, now humming with the preparation of meals for hundreds of inhabitants, would drift the comforting aromas of early cooking. The deep, refreshing scent of dukist foliage, mingling with the brighter, cleaner fragrance of lotus blossoms opening fully on the pond surfaces, and the pervasive, sweet notes of jasmine and rose bushes that lined the pathways. These natural perfumes provided a fresh, vital contrast to the more domestic aromas, the faint, sweet aroma of honey from a distant storeroom, or the tart, clean scent of freshly cut citrus fruits from a tray being carried to a dignitary's chamber. These hints of taste, carried on the gentle air currents, added another layer to the complex sensory experience of the morning palace. This rich, evolving tapestry of scents and subtle flavors, constantly shifting and mingling, was a quiet, immersive testament to the diverse, vibrant life unfolding within Cleopatra's royal domain. The warm, yeasty scent of freshly baked bread constantly emerging from hot ovens. The subtle, savory smell of stewing lentils or simmering vegetables, spiced gently with cumin or coriander. The dry, slightly sharp aroma of papyrus fibers being prepared for writing, or the faint, metallic temps of bronze being worked into implements or decorations. It was a subtle, spiritual note in the otherwise material symphony of palace life, a reminder of the gods and the rituals that permeated Egyptian existence. From rooms dedicated to personal care, one might catch a passing whiff of myrrh, frankincense, or the warm, spiced notes of cinnamon oil used in perfumes and unguents for the royal household. The rich, almost sweet aroma of roasting meats would begin to permeate the air, hinting at the day's main meals. These were the fundamental, satisfying smells of nourishment, deeply reassuring. From the carefully tended palace gardens, the morning air would carry a revitalized bouquet. Within the workshops, subtle, distinct scents would emerge. Occasionally, from the direction of a small, private chapel within the palace confines, a delicate wisp of incense might drift, a thin, ethereal smoke carrying the sacred scents of offerings or morning prayers. Even the flavors would subtly infuse the air. Chapter 29. The Palace Animals and Their Routines. Amidst the growing human activity within the palace walls, the animals that shared this grand domain also began their own quiet, consistent morning routines. Their presence, though often overlooked in grand narratives, was an integral part of daily life in ancient Egypt, providing companionship, utility, and a subtle, organic counterpoint to the human-made structures. Their gentle cooing, a soft, rhythmic murmur, would fill the open spaces, as they pecked at stray grains or splashed in shallow pools of water left from morning cleanings. Their wings would make a soft, fluttering sound as they landed or took flight, a light, airy presence in the morning air. In the palace courtyards, the ubiquitous Egyptian pigeons and doves would descend from their night roosts in the high archways and eaves. Their stretching would be slow, deliberate, accompanied by a soft, contented purr, a gentle vibration that resonated with the quiet calm of the chambers. Comforting aroma of a well-kept cat would occasionally drift on the air, reminding one of the diverse life forms that coexisted within Cleopatra's extensive household. These subtle, organic sounds and scents, often unheard amidst human busyness, formed a gentle, constant background a quiet connection to the natural world embedded within the heart of the royal palace. They might emit a soft, conversational meow, a gentle demand for their morning sustenance from a doting attendant. Within the more private living quarters, royal cats, sleek, elegant creatures, revered in Egyptian culture, would begin to stir from their slumber on soft cushions or warm patches of sunlight, the gentle nicker of a horse awaiting its morning feed, the rhythmic chaffing of grain as it was poured into troughs, the soft, sibilant sound of straw being rustled as stable hands cleaned out stalls. These animals, essential for transport and ceremony, provided a grounding, earthy presence, their routines a testament to the daily rhythm of animal care. From the nearby stables, situated discreetly on the palace grounds, but still within earshot, would come the soft sounds of horses and donkeys. In the palace gardens, small lizards would begin to emerge from their hiding spots, scuttling across sun-warmed stones with a quick, dry rustle, their tiny, rapid movements a testament to the awakening of smaller creatures. Even high above, the calls of larger birds of prey might occasionally drift down from the vast Egyptian sky, perhaps an eagle or a falcon circling high above the palace, their sharp cries a brief, wild note against the organized sounds of the human world. The distinct sense of these animals, the warm, earthy smell of straw and horse, the clean, dry scent of bird feathers, the subtle. Chapter 30. The gentle hum of governance as the morning progressed, leading to the imminent start of the Queen's official duties. A distinct, yet still gentle, hum of governance began to permeate the administrative wings of the palace. This was not the loud clamor of debate or the sharp urgency of crisis. This would be accompanied by the faint, almost imperceptible rustle of papyrus scrolls being unrolled, their ancient fibers giving a dry, papery sigh as they were spread flat. The occasional soft thump of a finished scroll being rolled and tied with twine, or the light clink of a clay tablet being placed in its designated slot. But the underlying, continuous sound of a vast, complex machinery preparing itself for the day's work, a rhythm of diligent, focused activity. The soft placement of cushions on stone benches, the quiet arrangement of water vessels and small dishes of fruit for those attending. Bright, clear, and direct, it illuminated the intricate details of a written decree or the subtle nuances of a face in discussion. This was the environment where the decisions that shaped a kingdom were quietly formed, where the vast administrative apparatus of Egypt began its daily operations. The gentle, consistent hum of governance was a quiet testament to the enduring power and intricate organization of Cleopatra's reign, a profound background to the unfolding of a new day. The slow, deliberate unrolling of large maps or charts, their surfaces rustling gently as they were spread across a table, perhaps weighted down by small, polished stones. Low, murmuring conversations, voices kept to a respectful volume, discussing the day's agenda, reviewing reports, or quietly exchanging information. The soft shuffling of feet, the barely audible creak of a wooden stool as someone settled into position, the delicate clink of a ring on a polished table as a hand gestured thoughtfully. From chambers designated for scribes and royal clerks, a soft, persistent sound would emanate, the rhythmic scratching of quills against papyrus, a dry, whispering sound that spoke of careful documentation and the meticulous recording of information. In rooms where royal advisors and high-ranking officials began to gather, the sounds were more human, yet still subdued. The air in these chambers would carry the distinct scent of ink and aged papyrus, mingled with the drier, earthy smell of clay tablets and the subtle, lingering scent of the oil used to light early morning lamps. These were the aromas of ancient bureaucracy, of knowledge being meticulously managed and preserved. The preparation for official meetings would also contribute to this gentle hum. Even the light in these working chambers seemed to hold a quality of focus.